Hi, I'm Addison Young, and I will be analyzing Justin M. Zandt's opinion column called Divided We Fall. He starts out his opinion column with a quote. "There can be no divided allegiance here. Any man who says he is an American but something else also isn't American at all. We have room for but one flag, the American flag. We have room for but one language here, and that is the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is a loyalty to the American people." That quote was by Theodore Roosevelt in 1907. If we pick apart this quote, we can see there is no divided allegiance here. We are all one and the same. A man who says he is American but something else also isn't American at all. So an American taking pride in anything else other than being an American is not a true American unless you, to the full extent, have pride in just being just an American. We have room for but one flag here, the American flag. We have room for but one language here, and that is the English language. So everyone that is in this country speaks English, or you're not American, is basically what this quote is saying. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is the loyalty to the American people. And the loyalty to the American people, basically what I took from that was saying that being loyal to your country and taking pride that you are an American is part of being loyal to the American people. You are, because we are all in allegiance together, and we are one. And if you go against being anything else other than an American person and just fully an American, then you're dishonoring and you're not being very loyal to the American people. He continues on saying, "Those words ring just as true today as they did when they were first spoken over 100 years ago. In the modern era of rampant political correctness, it seems that everyone has to identify themselves as something other than American." Justin is saying that now, in the modern era of 2010, there is a political correctness that everyone has to identify themselves other than American. So people are taking pride in being other ethnicities. It is almost a feeling of superiority that comes from a person identifying themselves by ethnicity rather than nationality. This is basically saying that you feel superior and more superior than other Americans by identifying yourself by your ethnicity rather than your nationality, because nationally we are all American, but we all know that coming from America, everyone is actually a different race. We are a ton of different colors, but we stand under the same nationality. So people take more pride in being their ethnicity than they do their nationality. And Justin obviously has an issue with this, as Theodore Roosevelt would. And his last statement is a closing statement. It's a very powerful statement because it's very short, it's bold, it's concise. That's just not how it works here. Because, and I think why Justin was saying that is because based off of America's history, we used to believe in Theodore Roosevelt's quote. And now times have obviously changed, and Justin obviously wants to conserve and treasure what we used to find as, these were our ethos back then. This quote was our ethics. This is how we thought. And now people find themselves feeling the need to have superiority because of their ethnicity and not their nationality. He continues by saying, "When a young man by the name of Ernest Clausing, my great-great-great-grandfather, stepped off the ship that brought him here from Germany, he was greeted by the sweet smell of freedom and opportunity that emanates from this great nation." This is giving Justin credibility because he has a personal relationship. He actually has a great-great-great-grandfather who was an immigrant into this country, and he was greeted by these two things, freedom and opportunity. And then Justin finishes his statement with the adjective great, and that really just basically symbolizes that Justin really does have an American, he's very proud to call himself an American, and that he thinks America is a great country. He continues by saying he was also faced with the difficult task of assimilating into a completely new and diverse culture, and which is kind of opposite now, because now we have new and diverse cultures changing what our normal ethos was originally. Our original ethos was Theodore Roosevelt's quote, and now it is this new and diverse culture coming in and decrediting, I don't know if that's a word, but decrediting that quote. He greeted the task with open arms. So people were willing to come to this country and adopt our values and our language and forget theirs. He has a closing statement here that is also very powerful and concise that says no longer was he a German. So he has completely discredited the fact that he is a German, and now he was an American, and he was proud to say that. He left his country, came to this new culture that was completely new and diverse, learned this new language, and he was completely ready to discredit the fact that he was ever a German because he was so proud to be an American. Justin continues on by saying, today, on the other hand, it seems that being an American is out of style. So there we see a claim. He is saying being an American is out of style. Let's see if we can find any support. He continues to say, to see evidence, one must simply drive through Longmont. So his support is driving through Longmont for his claim of being an American is out of style. He continues his support by saying, you can't help to notice, but half of the signs on the sides of the businesses are written in Spanish. So Justin is saying because of these business signs and they're more frequently written in Spanish than they are English, that is discrediting being an American. Many cars have a Mexican flag plastered across the rear window. This word plastered is very significant. The word plastered does not sound clean and concise and neat. It sounds like it was splattered on there. And by Justin using that exact word, he's probably showing a little bit of his logical thought process about how he thinks that this is a very wrong thing to do, that having a Mexican flag plastered across the rear window is not something to be proud of, and in fact that is something to be ashamed of because you're not acting American. It seems like a rare occurrence when you overhear a conversation in English. That is a pretty bold statement. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that statement, but this is also Justin's personal experience that I can't judge. So if that's his personal experience, it seems that when he is in Longmont and he goes to hear a conversation, he hears it in Spanish. And as it was identified earlier in his opinion column, the English language here is spoken, and that everyone should adapt to that, and no longer is that the case if a majority of conversations are not heard in English. In my great-grandfather's day, this would have been unacceptable. That is a bold statement. Unacceptable is the final word, and that is definitely bold. He finishes with, now, don't take me wrong, I have nothing against celebrating heritage and respecting your roots. So Justin is actually giving credit to people who take pride in their ethnicity rather than their nationality. He starts out with openings, now don't take me wrong. It's one bold statement. He does not want to cause any offense to anyone. He's just trying to get his point across the table. He has nothing against celebrating heritage and respecting your roots, but obviously he thinks that it has nothing to do with, if respecting your roots and celebrating your heritage is not expressed through signs on the sides of businesses and conversations. You can celebrate your heritage and you can respect your roots, but you also don't need to overuse them to the point where you're pushing American culture and American values off to the side. Where I take this issue is when people claim that America is so great but don't even respect it enough to identify themselves solely as American, instead claiming to be a spiritual, if not citizen, of another country. So he's basically not saying he has a problem, he's just mad that they don't identify themselves solely as Americans. The word solely is very important because, as in Teddy Roosevelt's quote, it basically said, any man who says he is an American but something else also isn't American at all. So Justin is reinforcing that statement. He is saying that they're not citizens of this country, and if they're not saying they're solely Americans, then they're not Americans at all, and he's discrediting them. So just remember, I am not German American. You are not Latin American, Asian American, or anything of the sort. You and I both are simply Americans. He ends with a very short, bold closing statement saying that everyone is American and that you're not German American or Latin American. You're not mixed American of any sort. You are just purely American because you should take pride in your nationality. So basically what I get from this whole opinion article called Divided We Fall is that you need to take pride in your nationality, and nationality should be more strong and important than ethnicity is, because based on America's roots and America's history. Theodore Roosevelt, who was a president and a very big man in history, that's my cell phone ringing, that it's discrediting American society, and that now we need to switch gears, and we need to go back to Theodore Roosevelt's quote. We need to say that the English language is what we speak here, and if that's how Americans feel, that's how we're going to reinforce it. And that's obviously Justin's view on probably immigration as well, because he takes out specifically the Spanish culture in Longmont. So that's that. So Justin obviously really wants to go back to our old ways. Can't say that that's going to happen anytime soon, because we're a new diverse culture now, and we're taking pride in other ethnicities and nationalities. So now that's that, I guess. Okay, thanks.